Good afternoon. I'm your host of Sports Talk 757, Executive Director here at the Hampton Roads Sports Commission and the Hampton Roads Chamber. Sports Talk 757 being brought to you by Town Bank, Atlantic Bay Mortgage, Optima Health, CHKD Sports Medicine, and Pepsi. Hampton Roads Sports Commission is an affiliate of the Hampton Roads Chamber. Also want to give credit to our city partners and municipal partners, City of Chesapeake, City of Virginia Beach, and City of Norfolk. But today we have with us Matt Ellmer, Chief Operating Officer of Priority Automotive, well-known automotive dealership, family chain in the region and beyond. And Matt and his dad certainly have the affiliation and affinity towards sports, have done all sorts of things in our community, in our region to benefit youth sports, and have many other things in the works, many other components, projects in the works to benefit our youth. So we have them in this business leader version or edition of Sports Talk 757. Also, Matt, wanting to look at the economic impact of sports in the region, in our 757 region, which you guys certainly understand and have contributed to. So, without further ado, we have Matt. How you doing this afternoon, Matt?
I am doing great. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Good. And so much respect for your dad, for yourself and Dennis over there and the things you guys do. A very dear friend of mine, James Church, as a sales general for you guys many years and then has done well. But just great to have you on the show. Know you have cars to sell and inventory to move. But we wanted to take some time to highlight the great things you guys do kind of off the court, off the sales floor in the community for our youth. So, how long has Priority been around and how many dealerships do you guys have and what's the scope of what you guys do first for our listeners?
So we started in 1999. That is the year that my father became a dealer, kind of out on his own. And we started with 2 dealerships in Chesapeake, Virginia. So that is kind of our home base. And that 23320 area code is still where the majority of our stores are. And we wouldn't change that for the world, nor would we change being in Hampton Roads itself.
Sure.
So that's where it began. And I want to say this. I am privileged to be here, one with you, but also for whoever's listening, because what we do business-wise is only there and is only because of the public that's out there that we can serve. And so we appreciate the area. My personal story is one of watching my father grow through business. And our roots are here, but I was born in Norfolk General, but I grew up actually in Northern Virginia. So to get back to your question, we now have 20 different rooftops representing several brands, including stores up in the Northern Virginia market. And we have a store in Roanoke, Virginia. And then of course, here in Hampton Roads, we have almost in every city because we just got a hold of 2 Lexus stores, and one is in Virginia Beach, which we did not have a franchise rooftop in Virginia Beach. So we're in Newport News, in Hampton, we're in Williamsburg, Norfolk, which is where Mr. James Church, my good friend, who I talked to a little while ago, he's out there with our Ford brand, and of course Chesapeake and now Virginia Beach. So we're very fortunate to be in a great area and involved in so many good things. So I'm very happy to be here. And I know you've got I know you're going to be glued to a television tonight. I can imagine with the big game for our area coming up tonight. So
certainly. What Matt is talking about here is the Norfolk State Spartans taking on Appalachian State. And, MEAC champions after 9 years. And, we just can't thank you enough for what Priority did all those years, really in a sponsorship position at Norfolk State. And I was able to kind of work with yourself and your dad and a number of others, James Church, to have really a high level sponsorship for our athletic department. And we were going to kind of get to that, but we got to it. And I certainly appreciate you guys for that and the way we were able to activate that and bring the partnership to life. And we'll talk about some other major partnerships that you guys have. But, having such an affiliation and affinity towards sports, you have to tell me, did you play sports growing up?
I did. I wasn't a shining star though. So my career ended after high school. But I played football. I played lacrosse as far as in high school sports. And then growing up, I think as a lot of our youth here in the States does, soccer and all these other great sports, basketball, I played a little. So it was definitely something that helped, you learn so many great things in sports. You can take teamwork from that, but also discipline. And then you meet friends and lifelong friends sometimes. I'm fortunate enough now, my wife and I, we have a 3-year-old little girl, and that's our first one. And it's already something that we are, looking at for her to kind of get her acclimated to the ways of the world. I think sports is an essential piece of not only American society, not only our Hampton Roads community here, but in general. I mean, I think sports is very important. So we're big time supporters, and also we're fans in our own way too, I can tell you. So
Right. You got to get them started early.
that's it.
This is the soccer, the t-balls, the softballs. I know you guys are going to have a lot of fun with that. You mentioned youth, you mentioned high school, and we'll get to some other levels, but youth and high schools, tell us a little bit more about what you do. We've seen some things in the newspaper, we've seen some things through the sports club, but tell us a little bit more about how you honor successful student athletes in the youth and high school levels.
Yes, so we have many different scholarships out there through Chesapeake Sports Club. We've been a part of that for years and years. And unfortunately, I will tell you, not to bring up a sad note here, but the pandemic has actually hindered a lot of these things, at least that we could go and meet those students and, present them the award physically. Because there's nothing like seeing somebody smile for being rewarded because of their hard work. So Chesapeake Sports Club, we've been involved with, again, for years and years. But then a lot of the other, depending on the area that we are in, so whether it be Hampton or whether it be Newport News, we get involved with each city as we can and get involved with whether it be Little League baseball teams and sponsorships, and those things kind of renew every year. So we're constantly trying to stay involved as best we can.
All right. Seen a number of years to where you guys were presenting and high-level strategic partners with the sports club. A member myself, so I know they're very grateful for the work that you did there and for the high school students. We also look towards a higher level of sports at Old Dominion and Cornblow Field and the SB Ballard Stadium there, where you guys have the Priority Automotive Center or Automotive Suite. Tell me a little bit about how that came about and your affiliation towards Old Dominion. I got a chance to go there and see a game, first opening game with the Spartans, matter of fact. But I got a chance to see the center and the facility and tour that. How did that come about, and how special is that for you guys to have your name on something that prominent in an area?
Well, I can tell you that, so my father and I'll speak for my father in this respect, we are big football people. So I think with originally with ODU having their sights set on maybe getting a football program back, I think that's when my father initially started asking some questions and digging around, and that's really where he jumped in and got involved with sponsorships and so forth. And then obviously with the new stadium that was built out, we were lucky enough to get in early enough and have our Priority Automotive Lounge there. So most of those details, my father and ODU have been working together for many years on. I wasn't as much a part of that. But now the good news is I get to partake in some of that. Hopefully, as soon as we can get back to some live sports here. But that was something that I think was in the works even from the very beginning. As much as we can support our local universities, we will definitely try to do so. And again, because we love football so much, I think he became highly interested immediately. So.
We have so many different persons listening to this, sports management students and different ones trying to see how these things work. So, what exactly, I know, but for our listeners, what exactly do you do, or how do you leverage the benefit of the Priority Automotive Center there at the Luxury Suite?
So mainly, I would say that's just, it's a branding endeavor for us, just to get our name out there. And if there are, opportunities where we can, give away tickets or, help with if there's charitable donations that we can give, and maybe that's kind of a consolation prize or something like that. We'll give back in any way that we can there. But for us, it's just getting our name out there with obviously a growing program with the ODU football program. So for us, it's more branding than anything else. More importantly, being able to be a sponsor and help grow that program, that university, and the community there in Norfolk.
So how did it feel, or kind of how did it hit you guys when that was off and running and off to a good first year, and then no football last year? How did that feel?
Yeah, that's the negative news here, is that we've been pulled away from all those things, unfortunately. So it hurt, but I think it hurts everyone the same, right? We're all, whatever sport it is, whatever, even if it's outside of sports, if you like to go to live music events or whatever it is that you like to do away from home and professionally, we've had to put those things on pause. But we hope to jump right back in, and we have no change, and we have no plans on changing. We want to continue to be involved as best we can. And I think all of the programs that are out there are really poised for growth. So it's going to be a good couple of years ahead of us. We'll see. Maybe we can link up again at some point and talk about where we were to where we've come here in Hampton Roads.
Absolutely. No, we certainly want to follow the charitable and the corporate social responsibility efforts of Priority. Kind of sticking on campus there, we also talk about the Charity Bowl, something that's been really productive and really beneficial to a number of charities in the area. Tell us a little bit more about that and how you guys have helped, along with other partners and along with other steering committee members, to raise $500,000 or more per year. How have you grown it to be that big? And then tell us a little bit more about the Charity Bowl.
Sure. Yeah. Now this is a story that I'd like to get into just for a minute, because with Norfolk State alumni, I will be able to weave into the story. So there's a gentleman who is probably at work at our Chevrolet store right now, and his name is Orlando Goodhope.
Okay.
And
sure.
He's a great man. I've known him since I was a boy, and he's been with us for a long time. And actually, my grandmother knew him when she used to run the Montgomery wards here locally, and that's how my father and Orlando linked up a long time ago. So the Charity Bowl was many years ago. It was played on Thanksgiving Day, and all of the proceeds would go to the Joy Fund, to give children as many gifts on during the Christmas season as they could. And I want to say, actually have the dates here. It was started in 1968.
Right.
So long-standing charitable game that they played, and a lot of the All-Americans would come back and college students would come back and play. And Mr. Goodhope was on the board of this thing, of the Charity Bowl, and it was having some financial difficulties. So he approached my father, I believe in 2012, sometime around then. And my father jumped in and got involved. And we were lucky enough to, and this is my father and a lot of the people close to him with our organization. They put a lot of hard work in to create what it is today. So started small, but then ended up growing it into kind of an event that happened every year, not played on Thanksgiving morning anymore, changing it so that maybe you get a little bit more involvement out of it, and then ending up out at the ODU facility. And so it's been a great story, I think, but it's been great for the community. We have, so I think our first actual event was in 2013, and there are 35 children's charities that we're involved in, plus some military charities and some other ones. So it's really been I think a win all the way around, and one that I've been lucky enough to be a part of. But again, the heavy lifting, a lot of this was done by my father and some of the people that he knows in the community.
And I also think a mutual friend of ours, Troy Clifton, is involved there. So hats off to Troy, and you can kind of see the quality work and the extensive work that he's done to kind of get that off the ground.
And Claudel, for Tony Saragusa, somebody like that to be involved, and I'm a NFL fanatic. So I'll tell you briefly. So my father says, hey, this is a couple of years ago, come to an event, and it was for some of the sponsors for the Charity Bowl, and I walk in and I see Tony Saragusa. You know, I almost fall out. Now, you and James Church and some other people, you know, you all may see some NFL players from time to time, but I walked in and I saw him and I almost fainted there. So then he ends up spending some time with my father, and they've gotten to know each other. And Troy Clifton knows him, I believe.
Yes.
And so yeah, a lot of the people in the community got together and took the lead on this thing, and I think it was a successful endeavor.
So, you know, you have the Charity Bowl, you have the Chesapeake Sports Club and other sports club and other high school and youth sports involvement. You know, what is your vision to expand this program, and how are you going to be even better and even more visible corporate citizens in the future? What plans do you have, if you could share?
Yeah, so I think with our, well, one, having a brand here with Lexus in Virginia Beach, that allows us to grow there with philanthropic endeavors in Virginia Beach.
Great.
Because sometimes when you have different brands, then you know, there are sometimes stipulations on how much you can get involved in a certain city. So that's definitely the first area that we're looking at because of our you know, our affiliation with the Virginia Beach city now, because we have a business here that we represent. So kind of in conjunction with that, whether it be Norfolk or Chesapeake, anything else, we have meetings once a month, and we discuss different things that are kind of presented to us and ideas that are brought to us, and you know, then we take things from there. So there's not too much structure in the future game planning outside of just organic idea gathering and discussions. So, but there are some things in the works that I don't think that I can talk too much about now. But I'm hoping that all those things get put together.
I know that they will be much needed as the community reopens, as youth sports strike back up, and those occurrences increase. That support will certainly be needed. We talked about city lines, Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Chesapeake, you know, where you have your dealerships, and we talk about regionalism a lot at the chamber, and regionalism a lot at the sports commission. You know, do you think this area can facilitate a sports team? And you know, based on the economic impact of sports in this area, you know, what would you like to see here that's not here?
So that is a great question, and that is as you know, that is a question that we could probably spend a whole episode discussing. So I would love to see a professional sports team here, and I think anybody that's listening would be saying the same thing. The question then becomes where, and how does it benefit? You know, if it was to be on the south side, for example, I think there would be many benefits regardless of what city they actually played the game in. But those are for our, you know, our civic leaders and everybody to kind of figure out. I do believe that because we have these 7 independent cities, that there are so many benefits sometimes that we can see, and there are so many benefits that sometimes that we can't see. Even if a business may be located in Chesapeake, that doesn't necessarily mean that there aren't great, you know, effects and benefits to a neighboring city. But I'm sure they're discussing all these things anytime an offer comes up. But I think it would be great for our market, especially when you start looking at the map. You know, I think a lot of people west of here, north of here, south of here, they may know the name Virginia Beach, they may know the name Norfolk, they may know some of our city names, but they don't understand that it is basically one community here. You know, so many people live in Norfolk, work in Virginia Beach, or live in Hampton and they work in Newport News. I mean, we're one Hampton Roads family. So without a doubt, we could support a sports team. And without a doubt, it would be beneficial to so many of the cities, if not all. So I think transportation to and from maybe Northern Virginia would be something that we should look at as well, which, you know, these are not new ideas. These are, I mean, I think there's smarter people than I working on all this stuff already. So, but I would love to see it happen, and we would definitely support in any way that we could.
Certainly. Well, we talked about transportation. We talked about the citizens of our region and just outside of our region. But I know Priority has supported, large scale sports in this area. From a business standpoint, we talked about the individuals, but from a business standpoint, do you think we have enough businesses and willing business leaders to support from a corporate standpoint?
So I would say yes. Now, that's beyond my scope of knowledge as far as the size and the amount of money that you would actually be talking about for these kind of sponsorships. But again, taking into account all of the cities and the overall population that we have, I think that we could support it. And we have many companies locally that some are well known and some kind of fly under the radar because they may not need a lot of advertising and outward branding, that would probably jump in and support. So I believe we could fully support it from a corporate standpoint, from a business standpoint. And again, but I don't think it would be possible if we just were talking about one city necessarily. As a community as a whole, when you look at us from, again, Williamsburg and Yorktown, all the way, Suffolk, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Norfolk, you combine all those cities, we've got a lot of horsepower.
And again, that's that regional effort, and it certainly has to be for a major sports team. As you can see in these other various cities, you're talking about a DC or a Charlotte, but you have so many other cities surrounding those areas supporting that team. So it's something we can do. Oftentimes people just think about people in the stands, 20,000, 50,000, 75,000 people or 100, but they forget that the business support and that corporate support is needed. So it's good to hear that you feel like that could happen. And certainly the Sports Commission and the Chamber share that same view and would love to see that happen. Just kind of shifting gears, speaking sports history, we see you guys do a lot of work with Virginia Sports Hall of Fame. Very good friend there, and Will Driscoll, an executive director. I see how you guys support their youth initiatives and the different inductions. Tell me a little bit more about your affiliation there and any future plans you have with the Sports Hall of Fame honoring our great sports history in Virginia.
Yes, so that is it's one of the, once we get back to normal and we can start, going to these kind of things in person again, it's one of my favorite events to be a part of. And I think it's a testament to a lot of the things that we've been talking about. We have so many athletes from this area, again, broader Hampton Roads area. And you could pick cities as well if you'd like to. I mean, you know more than I do about that. But we have so many athletes that come out of this area that make it to the heights of their profession, the heights of the professional athletics. And for us, it's just a privilege to be a part of that and to be able to honor those people and also kind of keep that memory alive of how many great people are coming out of this area, and then bringing that back into our memories, as a significant piece of the history that's here. So again, we feel honored to be a part of it, and we plan on staying a part of it as long as we can. So just hope we can get back to some in-person stuff soon.
Virtual award ceremonies and virtual inductions. Virtual is nice, but it's nothing like walking across that stage.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, we've seen you in a number of personal things. We talked about Priority, we talked about James, we talked about your dad, and we talked about you some, but, more about Matt. What's really near and dear to your heart as it relates to philanthropy in this area, sports related or non-sports related?
So thank you. That's a good question. So for me, we have always been a part of any children's charity that we can be a part of. So the ones that are nearest and dearest to my heart are always affiliated with children. As a young man, as a young boy, my father would bring me to Toys for Tots, for example. And I remember helping with that organization. And so, I have a 3-year-old, and I think the children's charities are the ones that pull on my heartstrings the most. And again, through the Charity Bowl and any of the other charitable foundations that we're involved in, I do whatever that I can, and but always looking for the next children's charity that we can be a part of.
Absolutely. Now we've also seen you with King Neptune down there. I guess you were the king or the prince of the Neptune Festival. Tell us a little bit more about that, and something neat I saw in the newspaper that you guys were a part of.
So I was a Triton
Okay.
in the 2015 class. And we did have a king in our mix, though, which our CFO is Stacy Cummings.
Okay.
Uh,
Stacy.
yes. So who's also been a part of all these things that we've been talking about. Him and my father have known each other since 1981, I believe. And I was born in 1980. So I've known Stacy my whole life, just about. And he's somebody who's near and dear to me, but he was King Neptune. So he
Okay.
had to grow the beard and all of that. And again, in kind of in line of some of the things that we were discussing before, that is a Virginia Beach City thing that I believe a lot of the cities are involved in, and people from all over are involved in. So there are Tritons, and there's a whole program of events that happens, and I think it does very well for the city of Virginia Beach. But I think those ripple effects can be felt, throughout Hampton Roads. So there's representatives from, for example, Dollar Tree, which now has the big base out in Chesapeake, all over the place, different companies that may be located in different cities. So, and now with us having a franchise actually here in Virginia Beach, it's all more pertinent that we remain a part of the Neptune Festival and the growth and helping the community here.
Matt, yeah, we certainly appreciate this time on this afternoon. We just have to ask one more question. What are some of your favorite sports teams in the area, or some of your favorite venues to visit as it relates to sports?
Okay, well, locally at ODU, that new stadium is always exciting to go to. But growing up, and it doesn't matter, I think many of the Hampton Roads community here, I think we are formerly called Redskins, now the Washington Football Club.
That's right.
But that is a team that's near and dear to my heart. Growing up in Northern Virginia, I spent a lot of time going to RFK Stadium, and it's been a tough decade or so here for us Washington football fans. But they've got some recent signings that I think are exciting, and so I enjoy going to. Who doesn't like going to a baseball game, right?
Harbor Park.
Yeah, locally the Tides. As a young kid, whenever we would come back down, down and visit some of our relatives, going there is always a great time. So I think, in wrapping up that thought, we're very blessed that we have so many great events and venues here locally, and great universities that we can support, just like tonight. That's the number one thing I'm focused on tonight, is supporting your team, but also my team. And tonight it should be Hampton Roads team in Norfolk State. So I think we're going to go get them.
Well, that's one of the things that the newspaper and the community and a lot of our business leaders and community leaders do well. You have an Old Dominion, a Wesleyan, a Norfolk State, a Hampton, whoever it may be from the region. When those teams go off and do some postseason things or some extraordinary things, the community really does rally. So that's great that you mentioned that. And, I look forward to checking out the game. I got to find True TV, it's TNT or whatever that is, but I'll find it and tune in. But Matt, I know the time is well spent. You've given us a lot of your time. You got to get back to thinking business development here, but I appreciate you shifting gears and pivoting to sports and community. And it was great to hear about all you guys do at the Priority Auto family in our community and all that you do and your family. So we do appreciate your time today.
Thank you very much. This was great.
Well, for all those listening, again, this has been Sports Talk 757 with Claudel Clark, your host, Matt Ellmer, COO of Priority Automotive, just really sharing some light on what that Priority Automotive family does for sports in the area, and then its vision moving forward. It serves right into our mission at the Sports Commission to highlight the venues, highlight the corporate social responsibility, highlight the athletes, highlight just the great things as it relates to sports in this area. And of course, during the pandemic, we'd love to be live doing this, taping in the studio, but we had to do it by Zoom. But we'll continue to carry out that mission. We'd like to thank our sponsors again: Talon Bank, Atlantic Bay Mortgage, Pepsi, CHKD Sports Medicine, Optima Health, the Chamber, our municipal partners, City of Chesapeake, City of Norfolk, City of Virginia Beach. And again, we thank you for your participation today. We hope that you and your family stay safe, and look forward to having you tune into the next episode of Sports Talk 757. Matt, good afternoon to you, and thank you again.
Thank you. Go Spartans.
All right, bye.